Welcome to Boundless Love podcast. Here it's all about next level approach to love, relationships, and sex. I'm your host, Sofia Sundari. Welcome to the second episode of Boundless Love podcast. In this episode, I'll be speaking specifically about boundless love, what it is, how it manifests, and how it is accessible to us in every given moment. I want to start by sharing a story. Several years ago, I was in Thailand on an island called Koh Phangan, and it was a very challenging phase of my life. I was waking up every morning and feeling that I didn't want to meet this day. I was feeling that I was really dropping into a very murky, dark space of depression. There were lots of people around me, beautiful people. There were my friends around, but somehow I didn't feel connected to anybody. I felt so alone. I felt incredibly lonely. I felt like I could not really talk to anybody. I felt like something was expected from me. I was expected to be a certain type of person, which I just was not. Sometimes I was waking up in the mornings and I just wanted to die. I didn't want to be here. I didn't want to commit a suicide or anything like that, but I just did not want to be here. I didn't want to be on this planet. I felt like I did not belong, even amongst my friends, even amongst people who were entrepreneurs and involved in the same field as I was. I just didn't feel I belonged. I didn't feel like I belonged not only in that community, but really on the planet as such. I also was having a really big part of my teachings and also the way I choose to live my life, my philosophy, is that the more we try to push stuff away, the stronger it's gonna come at us. Instead of going away from discomfort, the best thing is actually to lean into that discomfort. So that's what I decided to do. I was so struggling, and just as I was in such a low space within myself, I kept attracting situations that were making me feel even lower. That's just how it works in the quantum realm that we live in. It's well explained by physics, by law of resonance, how we attract things on that same level that we resonate. I just decided to just go into that darkness. And interestingly, exactly during that phase, I met a person who told me that he was supporting people in going on a journey of descent. He told me that he practices shibari, this Japanese art of rope bondage. And he not only performs this art, this practice of bonding a person with beautiful ropes so that they experience deep surrender, but he actually guides them into very deep, dark places in their consciousness. So I decided to do that. I felt like I had nothing left to lose, and I just wanted to be held as I go into the darkness fully. One day I was driving my motorbike to go see him. I knew I was going for transformation. I also knew it was mad to do that, but that was okay. I knew I had to accept my madness. And I'm going to speak about madness more as we continue with this episode. So I arrived, my friend made me some tea, then tied me up, hanged me upside down, and took me on that descent journey. After hours of the journey deep into the underworld and beyond the underworld, so it felt, I moved through so much grief, so much hate, so much anger. I had no idea I had so much stored inside of me. I felt completely altered. I felt totally out of it. It was hours and hours of deep, intense work. Then, as the session was coming to the end, I was laying in his dojo, the place where he was performing this practice, this art, and I couldn't find a reason to come back to life, to return from that descent journey. I was just descending lower and lower in my consciousness. Then I reached a point where I felt that that was it. I felt like I could not find a reason to come back to life, to come back to light. Nothing made any sense. I was laying there and scanning through my consciousness, and I couldn't find anything meaningful enough to stay here. I was shown people that I was relating with. I was shown my parents. I was shown my friends. I told my friend, I said, I can't remember what was it about. I can't find a reason to come back for. He said, look, you are doing such great things in the world. You're serving so many people's transformation. This is huge, Sofia. It didn't touch me. I couldn't care less. I felt, what was the point of that? Maybe one person goes through a transformation. Maybe this person wakes up. Then 10 others fall even deeper into darkness. Nothing made any sense to me. Nothing. I was just collapsing and collapsing more. My friend was saying something, but I couldn't hear the words. I felt completely empty. It felt like I was floating. Everything was so dark and nothing made any sense. Until I heard one word that made the whole difference. I heard this word, love. To love is the only reason to live. Love is what powers everything. It is the source of everything. I can only open myself enough to let love move me. To love without hesitation, to offer myself to love, to live without attachment to how love should express itself. To love means to give your life to God. Because in the true meaning, love is synonymous to God. And whatever you may call it, God, the universe, the quantum field, the one, the absolute, Atman, it doesn't matter. But love is that greatest air that we breathe, is the glue that holds the manifestation together. When we let love move us, we experience surrender. Surrender to love. And from that place, everything makes sense. And love is worth everything. This recognition of this true boundless love, love without limit, is the greatest way to live our life, the greatest way to experience our life. The next day, after that journey, I woke up with a smile on my face. Finally, I felt light. Finally, I felt free again. My heart felt light. I felt full. I am here to love. I am here to love. That's all I could think of. That's all I felt. So to experience this profound love, we have to have a little madness about us. You can call it courage. You can call it having the balls, having the guts. We can call it being daring or being wild or being a rebel. This madness is what will help you see the world for what it really is and not for what it is taught to us by other people who have been stuck in darkness. What we see a lot in the world is that people are searching for something, searching for happiness, searching for love, not realizing that there's no happiness outside. There is no love outside of you. Many people spend years searching for happiness outside of themselves. They spend lots of money, lots of time, lots of energy acquiring things, searching for more, for better car, for a bigger car, for a new house, for a new phone, bigger phone, latest computer, this kind of dress, all of that in search for happiness, thinking that those external attributes will make them happy. Other people spend years searching for divinity outside of themselves. And it looks better than to look for divinity rather than to look to be filled up by certain things. But actually, this is not freedom either. Nothing compares to freedom, joy, gratitude, and power that comes when you stop seeking and realize that divinity is your very essence. And it has been there all along. There is no God outside of you. All we really need to do is let the layers shed, to be constantly taking that shower of cleansing ourselves, releasing anything that is not true. When we work on developing our consciousness, we are peeling off layers of hurt and pain that's been there since we were little children. We are peeling off layers of generational trauma, which is a real thing. So we cannot bypass this work. We cannot pretend that we already are experiencing this purity, power, and divinity within ourselves. We have to be continuously doing that work. We have to be continuously cleansing ourselves and purifying ourselves. And in that, we are also becoming more and more and more human. And as we're becoming more and more human, we're becoming more and more humble, and we're becoming more and more open, and we're becoming more and more truthful. And you want it or not, your heart cracks open. So it's only masks and beliefs that we've picked up along the way that are hiding the light of our hearts from ourselves and from the world. From this recognition, life begins. From this recognition, there are no limits to what is possible. From this recognition, we finally begin our holy work that we came here to do. It's fascinating how the human is actually inadequate in the face of love. When we try to grasp what love is from our human mind, we fail. It's like love is constantly there hovering over the planet. And as soon as it feels that there is a willing individual or two individuals who are willing to open to that love, then love just blasts with incredibly high voltage and enters the hearts, the lives of these people. It's fascinating because love is so big for us, we cannot understand it from our mind. It's paradoxical in a sense, because it is by fully landing into the humanness that we can really experience love. And this love not gonna be always sweet. We think that love is sweet, that love is always kind and nice. Not necessarily. Love can be brutal. Love can be fierce. Love can be putting us down on our knees and making us surrender. I like to say that first you have to die, then you love. It's the same with leadership, actually. First you die, then you lead. But also first you die, then you love. And what I'm talking about is a metaphysical death. The death of identity, of limited identity that we are so holding on to. If you are serious about really wanting to live life fully, experiencing the totality of what life is about, really fulfilling the purpose of your incarnation, then you will experience an ego death, and usually even more than one. I've experienced multiple ego deaths in my life ever since I woke up and started to live life consciously. For those who just can't compromise, can't accept anything but full total life, full total experience. If you came here to really fulfill the highest reason for your incarnation, you will experience at least one, and usually more than one, ego deaths. Ego death is an experience of completely letting go of everything that you've believed about yourself, about your life. Any kind of sense of comfort that you've created around your personality. It may be an identity of a good daughter, or a good son, a good student, a good wife, a good husband, or it may be an identity of being a successful, of having this kind of job, this kind of house, this kind of little routine, this kind of little thing that you do every single day. Whatever is that you experience that you really over-identified with, whatever emotions you really believe are a part of who you truly are, all of that will have to die. All of that sooner or later will be complete. You will experience that there is like a big hurricane in your life that rumbles through your life and wakes you up from any area of your life where you have been asleep and just settling into the comfort instead of really feeling life, experiencing life with every fiber of your being. So those ego deaths, they are horrible when they come, when you experience them. For many people, they experience them around the age of 28, 29, 30. It's the first Saturn return in astrological terms. This is where every person experiences something that completely radically changes the direction of their soul's purpose. Some people, if they are not completely numb, then they will experience also some things earlier than that. other people will experience it later than that. It's just when we wake up from numbness and we allow ourselves to feel and allow life to touch us, that's when we experience that. And as I said, in the moment, it feels horrible. It feels very difficult. I remember once finding myself completely annihilated, completely lost, having no clue what happened to my life. I was just looking at my life and seeing that I had a job, I lost my job. I had a home, I lost my home. I had a husband, I lost my husband. I had an identity of who I thought I was, a good woman, a good student, a good yogi, and I lost all of that. At some point I was looking at my life and I could not find anybody in this life. I could not find anything that I really believed about myself at the time. And the most incredible thing is that, of course, as I was letting go of all those things, it was very painful. I was doubting, I was questioning, I was denying, I was rejecting, I was fighting. And then once I surrendered and I could just go like, okay, it means I just have to drop it all. And who am I once I drop all that? It was difficult, but also when I accepted that that's what love wanted, and that the one who I was without all those things, all those attributes, was love, I experienced myself as love. And I saw that there's nothing else to do but trust. Just trust that I am eternally held every second of my life, even when something happened that I really don't enjoy. Uncomfortable stuff. People let me down. Unexpected things happen that just change all my plans. Accidents happen. Betrayal. All those things. If I really understand myself and understand the nature of this reality, there's nothing else I can do but trust. Trust that I am held, and somehow those experiences happen so that I wake up, so that I again and again recognize myself as love. This is why all this comes to me, and that is so precious. This is such beautiful love. To really love somebody, it means to really wish the best for them. And the best ultimate thing that anybody can experience is complete freedom. Freedom of identity. Freedom means recognizing yourself as the universe, recognizing yourself as divinity, recognizing yourself as love. That's the greatest thing that can happen. And who does that to me? Who makes me realize all that? It's life itself. Because life loves me, and life loves you, and life loves everybody. And those people who are really resentful and are really holding on to old grudges and really cannot let go, cannot forgive, cannot accept, and are blaming other people around them, and are blaming God for creating this horrible experience. Maybe it's a loss of a beloved. I lost my dearest friend. That was such a big slap on my face. There was so much pain there. Some people lost their children. Some people lost unborn children. There's just so much pain in this world that can happen. And no matter how horrible it is, if we start to get resentful and start to blame God, the universe, or other people for creating this experience and just shutting ourselves down and creating this protective shield around our heart, it means we are missing the point. One of the reasons we all came here is to learn. To learn this human experience, to learn the totality of what a human heart can bear. And then as our heart gets worked on by love, by life, by death, then we really start to accept ourselves as humans. And everybody around us as humans, as those imperfect humans that at the same time are so perfect, because in our nature we are all one, we are all divine, we are all nothing but God. And all those colors, all those expressions, no matter how life expresses through us, it is love expressing through us. Opening is a prerequisite to love. If you really want to experience this boundless love that I'm talking about, you have to choose opening. In an intimate relationship, which is a beautiful and incredibly beautiful, a potent avenue of really experiencing love, you can experience yourself and you can experience your beloved through opening. The more your partner opens, the more you open. This is how it works in an intimate relationship if you really choose that. The more you open, the more your partner will open. And it may be difficult to understand because many people say, well, but I'm doing all the opening, I'm doing all the conscious work, but my partner just does not respond to that. Well, here you have to let go of the attachment to how you want this opening to be. Because the opening may be that you just realize that a relationship outlived itself. If you are really, really deeply opening, then something will get clear to you. And an opening in the relationship will happen. And that opening may be that it is complete. So never try to fix your partner. Never try to open your partner. Never try to change them. Instead, focus on the quality of the relationship. Focus on how much love there really is in the field. It takes a lot of strength to do that. So when something hurts us, we tend to do one of the following things. Some people contract into becoming very emotional and blaming the other person. He did that. She said that. Again, this happened to me. You're always doing this to me. Again and again. Yeah. So then there's this externalization of the emotion, the projection outside. Other people contract internally and they are in a way swallow it in, trying to be very conscious, maybe very spiritual or very understanding, but in fact they may be repressing the emotion. Or some people are choosing so-called kindness out of fear or out of fear of creating a conflict. Another response is that the person will withdraw and look really cool on the outside, but on the inside, they become really frozen and they just escape the situation or avoid the situation altogether. So none of those responses will promote opening and connection, and none of those responses will promote love, therefore. Each uncomfortable edge can be a doorway into a deeper connection through one thing: vulnerability. Vulnerability is the key for connection. Vulnerability is the key to the heart. Vulnerability is a prerequisite for love to really land into your body, into your life. So the response to hurt can be not contracting, choosing differently, because there is trauma. Yes, and it is from trauma that we are reacting usually. And unfortunately, there's so little awareness of what trauma does to us. So we cannot demand from other people to open when we want them to. And we cannot demand people to also become aware all of a sudden of what they are doing. Denial is a symptom of trauma. Yeah, some people will deny. They will say, no, nothing is happening. Okay, I don't care about this. I'm over the situation. I don't care. Yeah, there's nothing for me in here. It's all your stuff. Yeah, this is denial. Denial is a symptom of trauma, and we will speak more about trauma in this podcast for sure. I want to bring in my trauma therapist, who is an incredible being, and also interview her and let you know the perspective of a trauma therapist, how we can work through those kind of things. But the first thing is to understand there may be a force beyond your conscious choice that is deciding for you or for other people. But first you understand it for yourself. You understand that you cannot change other people, but you can change yourself. And when you understand your stuff, you become so much more compassionate towards others. That's amazing. It's people who never really look deep inside. These are the people that keep blaming the external world. When you look inside, you understand how many unconscious patterns are running the show behind the scenes. It's incredible. There's so much. Such a rich space. So when we choose to heal, when we choose to open to love, we choose to face uncomfortable edge because we recognize that edge as a doorway to deeper connection, to deeper love. And responding with openness means feeling it all, means not pretending that you're not hurt when you are hurt, means not choosing comfort when there is something that is really touching you, there is something to share. We need to dare to share the difficult things. We need to dare to give feedback to people around us. It's very vulnerable and very uncomfortable sometimes. Sometimes we prefer to just avoid and say, oh, okay, anyway, this situation is not going to happen again. Oh, anyway, I don't really hang out with this person so much anymore. Oh, anyway, it doesn't matter. They don't care. it's important to care. We have to come back to caring, because that's also an action of the heart. To care about everything, to care that there are trees that are being cut down in the world. And if you really feel that, if you let yourself feel that pain of that destruction of the earth, it may feel like your children are being killed and cut like that. Because that's what trees are. They are our children. They are the children of this earth. Or the disasters of violence and trafficking and abuse of children. All children are our children. No matter young children, old children. But so many of those children have forgotten. They have forgotten their nature. They have forgotten that we are all one. That when you are hurting somebody, you are hurting yourself. And we can feel the pain of that. And this creates space for love. To let ourselves be impacted. To let ourselves feel the pain. Feel the disasters. And also feel the joy. It is so vulnerable to really let ourselves feel the joy. So often it can happen that you feel so much love for somebody, so much love for your partner, or for your child, looking at your child as he or she is sleeping. And at the same time, there may be this instant thought coming into your mind. Oh, but what if something horrible happens? It's like we hijack our own joy because we are so vulnerable in this joy. And then we start to imagine a picture, something that can go wrong. Let yourself feel the joy. Let yourself feel the love. Let yourself feel the sadness. Feel the anger. Feel the grief. The pain, the hurt. As you do that, you are washing yourself. And love is underneath. Love is underneath all that. Your emotions, no matter how challenging they are the gateway to love. Coming back to relational love, relationships can really open our heart if we allow them. And I've had so much fascination about relationships in my life. Ever since I was a child, I was just constantly imagining my future relationship and really wanting to be in a relationship. First time I kissed a boy, I was 7 years old, and we were just trying to do what we saw people do in the movies. And I've had many relationships in my life, but now I am in the third most meaningful relationship of my life. And before that, I've had many other that were short and not really full of meaning in my early 20s. And I also had deep, very important marriage and another very important relationship that was completely not what I was expecting it to be, but it humbled me and it changed me and it opened me greatly. And now I am living the most beautiful relationship I could have ever imagined, something that is better than any dream I could have had about relationships. Space in which I feel so met, so understood, so held, so received. And this beauty that we are cultivating together, it is something that is a birthright for every human being to really experience such a profound meeting. And this meeting, when we really choose this high way of relating, and that happens through real deep understanding of the science, the art of polarity, and cultivation of the masculine and feminine dynamics, which I will definitely speak about in this podcast, we can experience the highest ecstasy together and be each other's agent of truth. And what is also important to realize beyond all that is that all the yearning that I've experienced since I was a child, that many of you also know, this yearning for a relationship, this fascination by relationship, at the deepest point of this yearning, what we are really yearning for is to merge completely with our eternal beloved. This eternal beloved is something that poets like Rumi, like Hafiz were talking about. This beloved is just another name for God. This beloved is just another name for your true self. It's not the limited self that can die that we were talking about before, that limited identity. It's that self with capital S, that self that is one for everybody. External relationships can remind us of that eternal beloved. Our beloved, our physical beloved, the one we love so much, this person in front of us, can really take us to that deep, deep experience of truth, of divinity. However, it's a mistake to project it on them, to project that they are that portal to completion. And that's the true path to codependency, this way of relating where you need your partner to behave a certain way and only then you feel happy. That's a mistake. Because no matter how deep our relationships are, how magnificent our beloveds are, they will never be able to substitute that which we are really yearning for. That which is the very first desire of a human being. That which is the source of all desires. The desire to be one with God. That's the original desire, and that's the source of all desires. No matter what you may be desiring, you're actually desiring that. You're desiring to come back to truth. You're desiring to recognize yourself as not separate from the divine. And you may be an atheist, or you may believe in Jesus and Shiva, Buddha, Allah, or unicorns. It doesn't matter how you call it. What matters is that this desire is what unites all human beings. And this desire is so beautiful. This desire is perhaps the best, the main reason why we incarnated. To experience this desire. Because to desire for something, it means that we feel ourselves separate from that. And that's the reality. That's how we live life. We do feel this yearning, this because we feel the separation. And if there is a reason for that separation, it is to be in that place of devotion. Devotion is such a beautiful experience. Devotion is that yearning of the heart. Devotion is something that expands the heart, which can also give you a completely new experience of your energy body, because you really experience the desire in your energy, that yearning is in your energy. And if you really sit with that desire, that deep, deep fundamental yearning, you feel your body starts to blossom from inside out. Your heart starts to blossom from inside out. It is so beautiful to feel that. This desire is intrinsically erotic. When you feel that desire, you feel this erotic body opening, blossoming. And the most incredible thing is that when you go really deep into that yearning, you experience that actually you've never been apart from the true source of existence. You've never been apart from your own source. You've never been apart from your true self. Ever since you remember yourself, there is always that sense of that you know who you are. No matter where you lived, what was your age, when you were a child, when you were a teenager, there's always that sense, that thread that never changes. That thread is the self. It never goes away, but we just fail to bring our attention to it. We get so busy with our life, our minds are so busy, our lives are so elaborate. But truth is very simple. Truth is always here, just like love is always here. Just like God, just like the universe. It's always here. On this note, I will wrap it up. And if you love what I have to say, please subscribe to this podcast and please leave a review. Thank you so much.